Hello horror hounds, welcome to my horror house. Last night I watched Tourist Trap from 1979 for the first time, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. Does that mean it's a great movie? No, it's a derivative slasher. It wears its influences on its sleeve for all to see. The script is lackluster, which doesn't give the actors anything to get their teeth into. The pacing is for the most part pretty turgid. The idea behind the concept of the killer is the absolute epitome of a hat on a hat, a supernatural element thrown into a slasher where it has no real reason to be, and yet there's a pervasive atmosphere of weird and creepy. There's a vibe to this movie, and there are times when it absolutely leans into that weirdness, that it hits such strange heights that I've possibly fallen in love with Tourist Trap, despite it being, to all intents and purposes, a really bad movie. The setup is about as slasher cliche as it gets. A group of teens on a road trip break down. One of them goes off to try and fix the spare tire, and when he doesn't return, the others go and look for him and come across a rundown roadside attraction, Slawson's Lost Oasis, which is a sort of waxwork figure come mannequin display dioramas of lots of figures from the old frontier west. And wouldn't you know it, there's a killer on the loose. The killer is the brother of Mr. Slawson, who lives in a nearby property. He tells them, don't go near the house. As is typical in these movies, one after the other, they do go into the house, and it turns out that his brother, Davy, has got lots of waxwork extracurriculars going on. He kills people, he takes molds of their face, he turns them into sort of mannequin displays. He also wears copies of their faces. He's coded very Leatherface, but all of his sort of waxwork masks hit the bullseye for me. They're all really weird and creepy and off-putting. There's one mask which has teeth in it, and just to see a row of real teeth behind a set of fake teeth with the tongue poking out of this mouthpiece of this two-piece mask, it's so creepy it gives me the heebie-jeebies. His place is filled with these mannequins, so if mannequins are the kind of things that creep you out, this movie will get under your skin. The displays in that are automated, so sometimes the mannequins move, and if that kind of thing gives you an ick, then this film will give you an ick. But for some bizarre reason, on top of this, they also give the killer telekinesis so that he can move the mannequins with the power of his mind as well. That's the hat on the hat that I was talking about. It has absolutely no reason to be in the script, and by all accounts, it was something that the producers chucked in at the last minute. And yet, it's this element, this stupid addition to this movie, that gives it the opportunity to do some really weird things, and it's those weird things that really grabbed my attention. So yes, clearly Tourist Trap is aping Texas Chainsaw Massacre to a large degree. It's also riffing on Psycho. You have a whole bunch of gorgeous looking teens who go skinny dipping, and yet there's no nudity in this slasher movie. There's plenty of killings, but there's no real gore in this slasher movie, leading it, when it was released, to get a PG rating when the director wanted an R rating. Because of that rating, I understand you could see it quite often on television in America, and I imagine it is one of those films, a little like Burnt Offerings that I looked at a while back, that I can imagine if you stumbled across it on TV at the right age, it's got stuff in that movie that will have seared itself into your horror-loving brain for the rest of your life. The killer always looks creepy in his masks. Yes, he's very, very Leatherface coded, but you know what? That look, it always works. It's a waxwork mask now instead of a human skin mask, but that kind of thing, it just plays great on the screen. And where the strange mood really starts coming off like gangbusters is precisely the area it kind of has no business working at all. You've got a masked killer who is kidnapping and killing young teens and turning them into waxwork displays, but he also has telekinesis just because he does. But it allows us to have moving mannequins that make noises where they have absolutely no business doing so. Anything could sort of come alive at any moment. And the final girl, my absolute favourite moments towards the end, where she starts almost sharing his mania in a kind of folie à deux scenario. There's some wonderfully uncanny and really eerie scenes where she is seeing mannequins as people, moving, living, breathing people, as he does. And in that final act, when she starts sharing his mania, that is where some of the weirdest and wildest stuff happens in the movie, for my money. If you're not afraid of mannequins or sort of waxworks, if that doesn't creep you out, I can see how this movie could be pretty laughable. It has more in common, I think, with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre adjacent movies that Tobe Hooper made after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I have a deep and abiding love for. Funhouse, Death Trap, also known as Eaten Alive. They're slightly more shrill and hysterical and heightened versions of the template that him and Kim Henkel created in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And Tourist Trap vibrates in that similar space. I still think that Tobe Hooper is the only director with enough of a handle on the template that he co-created that he can mess and tinker with it unlike anybody else and create strange, uneasy, queasy magic with those subsequent films. Tourist Trap, for all of its high moments that come close to what Tobe Hooper was so great at producing, there's still so many segments of the movie that run slow, that drag, with actors, bless their hearts, who have got nothing to work with, so potentially through no fault of their own can come across as a little wooden sometimes. And yet there's just that kernel of absolute weirdness at the heart of Tourist Trap that has taken my heart. It's a bad movie, but I love it.
I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.